The learning target is I can set up and solve proportions from real world problems. So proportional, the definition is two ratios or fractions that are equal. And proportions are an equation in which two ratios or fractions are equal. And we are solving for an unknown value. So if something is proportional, we can solve for an unknown value in that proportional relationship. So here we have equivalent ratios. We have 3 hearts. Oh, let's start with stars because it goes 4 to 3. So we have 4 stars. So we can put 4 stars over 3 hearts, the ratio of 4 to 3. Now we can double that, right? We can times stars by 2, and we can times hearts by 2. And we can get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 stars to 6 hearts. These are what we call proportional relationships or equivalent ratios. We're multiplying the first ratio, both the stars and the hearts, by 2 to get an equivalent ratio. They have the same value. Similarly, if this was simplified, if 8 over 6 was simplified, we would get 4 over 3. So how do we solve a proportion? Well, if we have an unknown value, we can represent it with a variable. In this case, it's an x. If there's not a number there, there's always an invisible 1 in front of it. So let's put a 1 in front of it. And the first thing we're going to do is cross multiply. So I'm going to do 3 times 1x equals, and then we're going to do 4 times 9. So 3 times 1 is 3, keep the x, equals 4 times 9 is 36. But we don't want 3x, we want x. So we're going to divide both sides by the coefficient, the number in front of the variable. In this case, it's a 3. So divide by 3, divide by 3. This side gives us x or 1x. And then 36 divided by 3 will give us 12. Again, similarly to solve for x, we're going to put a 1 in front and we're going to cross multiply. So 27 times 1x is going to equal 9 times 12. Well, 27 times 1x will give us 27x. And 9 times 12 will give us 108. And again, we're going to divide by the coefficient, the number in front of x. So in this case, it's a 27. We do that on both sides. And we're going to get x equals 4. Again, this is top number 108 divided by the bottom number 27. Setting up a proportion. So here is an example. A printer took 9 minutes to print 36 pages. How many pages did it print in 12 minutes? So we first want to know what the given ratio is. That ratio was 9 minutes to 36 pages. We know we can write ratios as fractions, so I can write that as a fraction. 9 minutes over 36 pages. And we want to create an equivalent ratio. So if I have minutes on top of here, I have to have minutes up top on here. And if I have pages down here, I have pages down here. Our units must match, and the order of the ratio matters. So we can go back to our problem, and it says, how many pages did it print in 12 minutes? Well, I'm going to go back to my other fraction. It says minutes on top and pages on bottom. So 12 minutes would go on top. And we don't know how many pages. That's what we're looking for. That's what the question is asking us. So we're going to put an X here on the bottom. Similarly, at the produce store, you can buy 4 bags of bananas for $40. How much would it cost if you buy 6 bags? So the given ratio, the full ratio that they give us is 4 bags to $40. We can write that ratio as a fraction, 4 bags over $40. We can create an equivalent ratio by matching our units. So if on the top I wrote bags, I have to write bags on top. If on the bottom is dollars, I have to write dollars on bottom. And the question says, how much would it cost for 6 bags? So 6 would go on top, so that I would say 6 bags with X on bottom. And from there we can solve, which we're going to do in the next few problems. Question number 1 says, Joshua is buying some pencils. 24 pencils cost $1.20. At this rate, how much will 6 pencils cost? Well, we first want our ratio. 24 pencils will cost $1.20. So I'm going to write 24 pencils to $1.20. And I'm going to write that ratio as a fraction. 24 pencils over $1.20. I'm going to rewrite my units on the other side. This side has to be pencils on top and a dollar sign on bottom. And then the question says, how much will it cost for 6 pencils? 6 pencils, 6 pencils. And then we can put an X on bottom. From there, we can cross multiply to solve the proportion. So 24 times X would give us 24X. I'm going to skip a step by not writing out our parentheses. And then 6 times 120 would give us 720 or 7.2. I'm going to put 720 since it is money. And then we're going to divide both sides by 24. This side gives us X, that's why we do it. And then we're going to do 7.20 divided by 24, which will give us 0.3. But because it's money, let's add a 0 and make it 30 cents. Question number 2 says, in 1.5 hours, Mariah earned $54. At this rate, how much will she earn in 5 hours? Our given ratio, keep it together, 1.5 hours, which I'm going to change to 1.5 for 1.5, to $54. And then let's write it as a fraction. So 1.5 hours over $54. Dollar sign is just fine. Top is hours, so the top has to be hours. The bottom is dollars, so the bottom has to be dollar sign. I'm going to go back into the question, and it says, at this rate, how much will she have earned in 5 hours? So we're going to put the 5 on top next to hours and our X on bottom. And we can solve our proportion. Now it has a decimal. I'm going to write this one out. 1.5 times 1X, and then 54 times 5. 1.5 times 1X is just going to be 1.5x, and 54 times 5 is going to be 270. And then we're going to divide both sides by the coefficient, that number in front of x. So in this case, it's 1.5. And so x is going to equal 180. For 5 books, Sasha paid $45. How much would Sasha pay for 18 books? So our ratio, 5 books to $45. Write that ratio as a fraction, 5. And you could just put a B for books if you want to save yourself, and a $45 sign. That's fine. But not putting any, by just rewriting it like this, 5 over 45, you might confuse yourself because you don't know which is which. So always at least put one letter. I'm going to put a B for book and a dollar sign. We know if books is on top, my B for books has to stay on top. If dollars is on bottom, my dollars is going to be on bottom. And then I'm going to go back into the question and look for that other piece of information. How much would Sasha pay for 18 books? So 18 is going to go on top with my books, and X is going to go on bottom for my dollar sign because it says how much would she pay? Well, we don't know how much. So then we're going to cross multiply. 5 times X is going to give us 5X. And 45 times 18 is going to give us 810. And then we're going to divide both sides by that coefficient. So we're going to divide both sides by 5. And so X is going to equal $162. And then let's look at the state test question. It says the label of a 1.5 pound of wildflower seeds states that it will cover a 375 square feet. Based on this information, what is the number of square feet that 1 pound of wildflower will cut? Well, my ratio is 1.5 pounds to 375 square feet. So I'm going to write that as a fraction. We can leave it in fraction form or we can change it to a decimal. I'm going to change this to 1.5 pounds, change it to a decimal, over 375 feet. Equivalent ratios, proportions. If pounds is on top, pounds has to stay on top. If feet is on bottom, feet has to stay on bottom. And then I'm going to go back into my question. It says, based on this information, what is the number of square feet that 1 pound of wildflower seeds will cover? So I'm going to put the 1 next to pounds, 1 pound. And we don't know how many feet, so that's what we're going to put an X for to solve. And then we're going to cross multiply. 1.5 times X will give us 1.5X. And 375 times 1 will give us 375. We can divide both sides by 1.5. And so X is going to equal 375 divided by 1.5, which is 250 square feet.